Welcome to Texas Rye Whiskey Studies for episode number 16 and my National Rye Tournament, episode number 8. Today we're looking at Pendleton1910 Rye. Coming to you from Fort Worth, Texas on Saturday, May 2nd, 2026, where it is currently 74 degrees. This will be our 6th rye whiskey review in this tournament and our 3rd Canadian rye. And then keep in mind that the Basil Hayden Dark Rye had some Canadian rye in its blend as well. So Canada is very well represented in this tournament, and there's more to come. So just the facts. This is a Canadian rye whiskey, but from Hood River Distillery in Oregon, sort of, maybe. This is 80 proof, 12 years old, for about $43 here in Fort Worth. Tasting notes. For a rye, this is very sweet. You do get some rye spice, but you also get some maple syrup. How about that? Some tobacco, wood notes, peppery. Give it a score of 84 and a letter grade for drinkability, an A-. My recommendation. I really do like this one and will likely get it again. It is a great intro to the rye category, though maybe just a bit pricey at $43, $44, $45. It's sweet, gentle, spicy, and interesting without being overbearing, so I highly recommend it. Details. This brand has a very confusing history. It is named for the Pendleton, Oregon rodeo that started in 1910, so that's where you get the 1910 from. Yet, it's called a Canadian whiskey. I think Alberta Distillery has a hand in manufacturing this, distilling this, but some of the stuff I've read also said some other Canadian distilleries contributed, so it is a blend. However, on the Pendleton website, in the About Us section, it talks about Pendleton whiskey being based near Hood River, Oregon. What does that mean? Well, that's where the brand originated, I guess. And so their history with Pendleton, Oregon, and the use of Hood River Distillery to bottle this whiskey, its trademark belongs to Pendleton Woolen Mills, of all people, which began in Pendleton, Oregon in 1909. So there's a link with the date, but now it's in Portland. And then apparently Hood River was the original owner of the brand, but sold the brand to Proximo Spirits in 2017. And Proximo is an American subsidiary of a Mexican corporation, Beckel, who they own Jose Cuervo. And they still help produce it, though, Hood River does. This rye is then distilled in Canada, shipped to Hood River, is cut to proof with Oregon glacier water from Mount Hood, and is aged in Oregon. So, Alberta Distillery is owned by the Japanese. The Canadians have a hand in this. The Americans and the Mexicans all have a piece of this. This is truly an international whiskey. Go figure. So a little bit of confusion in the history here, but this is also sadly typical for a lot of whiskey brands. They are traded, bought and sold and discarded like so many baseball cards with a bunch of 9-year-olds. So there you go. 4 out of 5 for history. Bottle, label, and packaging. This is a decent bottle with a lot of embossing. Now there's a rodeo horse right here. Very, very hard to make out on the glass, but that's what that is. You can sort of see it maybe. But you see the same thing up here on the label. I think it's the same design. And then if you look on the bottle cap, am I holding that right side up? I don't even know. There, I think that's right side up. So that's their trade logo, I guess. And the bottle is round, clear glass. It does have a base, and I think it tapers slightly up to the shoulders, the kind of short shoulders and a short neck. It's a wood cap with a cork stopper. You've got a black and turquoise color pattern there on the neck wrapper, which I like, but it's, and you get a little bit of a green down here on the label as well, indicating rye. So, that's kind of traditional, I guess. A few years ago, there was a large advertising campaign for Pendleton whiskeys here in Texas. There were billboards and I think even radio spots. I mean, I saw a lot when this hit the market in my area. I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. I saw a lot about Pendleton, but mainly they're whiskeys, not the rye, obviously. So 4 out of 5 for bottle, label, and packaging. Appearance of this whiskey. Well, in the bottle, it's got a nice medium grade color going on there. And in the glass, that's definitely a 3. It's actually fairly dark for a 3, so that's pretty nice. I mean, it is 12 years old, so that's a solid 3 out of 5 for appearance. Composition, this is a 100% rye. It's 80 proof, aged 12 years. And again, the blend comes from a few distilleries I've seen, but I think Alberta Distillery leads the pack there. But also, the water from Mount Hood in Oregon, from the glaciers, is how they cut this down. And it's aged there in Hood River, Oregon. So 13 out of 15 for composition. Let's go to the nose. My sinuses are still messed up, so I don't know if I can smell anything or not. It says sweet. I do get a little bit of rye spice, but hints of maple syrup, darker notes of wood, mild but pleasant overall. I gave this initially a 7 out of 10. I'm going to bump that up to an 8. The fact that I can smell that with sinus problems is encouraging. So that gives me a total score of 85. Yeah, so we're going to accept that nose as being better than I initially thought. Taste. Initially, this is sweeter than most ryes. And you do get a little bit of that rye flavor. It comes across rye spice, minty, pine needle kind of a flavor that's up there, which is what I really like. But then you get this dose of maple syrup that catches you by surprise. Really? Maple syrup in a rye? Well, it's Canadian rye. Why not? And I'm not the only one who thinks that. I read some other reviews, and a lot of people are getting maple syrup on the website. It says maple. There are some wood notes, darker notes in the tobacco, leather, wood tannin area. So overall, this is a very nice pour. 22 out of 25 for taste. Mouthfeel, burn, and finish. This is not thin. That 12-year-old really comes in handy here. It's not super rich, but it's medium. You get a modest burn, a little bit more than just tingles, but it's staying in the mouth. It's not going to the back of the throat. It's not going up in the sinuses or down the chest. It's focused in the mouth, and it's not strong. So that really makes this a good beginner whiskey, I think. So it's very pleasant in the mouth. Longish finish. You get those spices that linger. You get some of that maple that lingers. The oak and tobacco stick around for a while. So really, the finish is pretty strong. So mouthfeel, burn, and finish, 13 out of 15. Versatility, flexibility. Now this is obviously good and neat. I really do like this one. I don't think I would put it on ice though. That 80 proof for me kind of kills any desire for ice. However, I did try this in an old fashioned and it was quite good. And I sweetened the old fashioned with a little bit of maple syrup, some Angostura and Turkish tobacco bitters with an orange peel and cherry. And that came across as really pretty good. So I think I'm going to go make another old fashioned and come back in just a minute. And I'm back with another old fashioned. Did this one a little bit different from the one the other day. I used the Angostura bitters, but instead of the tobacco bitters, I used black walnut bitters. And then again, maple syrup as a sweetener, some orange peel for a little bit of citrus, and then the cherry. Oh, wow. That may be better than the other one. This is really pretty good. Stand by for a minute. Okay, I gave my wife a sample and I hadn't given it time to dilute down any. And even though this is 80 proof, it was still a little bit on the strong side for her. But the combination of the black walnut bitters, the Angostura, and the maple syrup absolutely works. So, for versatility, flexibility, very good, neat, and outstanding with an old fashioned. So 5 out of 5 points for versatility, flexibility. Price, value, and availability. Goody Goody had this for $41.99. That's where I bought this. Specs did not carry this. Total Wine had it for $44.49. So about $3 more, $2.50 more than Goody Goody. So that's the price range here in Texas. So for a 12-year-old whiskey, this may be priced about right. But that 80 proof, I don't know. I wish this was something like 86 proof, but you know me, that's how it is. So to me, maybe $5 too high, but nonetheless, it's a delicious whiskey. I'll probably get another one of these at some point in the future. I don't know. And it's not as widely available as the regular Pendleton whiskeys are, but still pretty good availability. So 8 out of 10 for price, value, and availability. Bonus points. I do really like this one. Even, it's got a cowboy history with the Pendleton Rodeo, but it's got a confused ownership history. It does have Pacific Northwest roots. I spent my time in the Army in the Pacific Northwest, so that's attractive to me as well. And the fact that it's probably distilled mainly at Alberta distilleries, right there. I kind of am a fan of Alberta. So 5 out of 5 bonus points, giving me a total score of 85 since I modified that nose. Letter grade for drinkability, A minus. Analysis and recommendation. Again, for a 100% rye mash bill, this one surprised me. It is sweeter than most ryes. It's got that hint of maple syrup that reminds me, hey, this is a Canadian whiskey, right? Now, Canadian Club 100% rye is another one of my favorites, but this is a totally different profile from Canadian Club. The flavors are very different, so I like both of these. And I guess, again, the price is okay for a 12-year-old, but that 80 proof leaves me hanging just a bit. But I do highly recommend Pendleton Rye 12-year-old, the 1910, because I think it's a great, not just introductory rye for somebody new to rye, but it's a keeper. I absolutely, a lot of people get upset when you call their whiskey an introductory whiskey, but this is gentle, it's sweet, mild, full of flavor, and it's worth keeping around. So I think that's how I judge introductory whiskey. So next up, since we've now studied the Basil Hayden malted rye and the Pendleton 1910 100% rye, what we're going to do is a little one-on-one competition for this tournament. So that's coming up next. And this will be tough because I like both of these whiskeys. Which one's going to come out on top? I don't know. We'll have to do a blind taste test and see. All right, this is Texas Rye Whiskey Studies out here.